Welcome to the Stick 49ers podcast. I'm Lucas McLaughlin. It's been a dismal season. Deebo finally looks like Deebo. A day late and a dollar short. The Niners drop another winnable game to the Miami Dolphins, 29-17, in a terrible loss that was pretty close. I mean, it's another one of those games. It's kind of like they're competing, and they have some really costly penalties. But Deebo finally looked like Deebo. How you doing, Lucas?
Good, man. It's been a while since I've been on. I was on assignment for kind of at an inopportune time when it seemed like the season just kind of fell apart before our eyes. Yeah. So time to move on, trying to look towards next season. Well, actually trying to look to the draft and see how can we improve. What guys can we get in free agency? Does Kyle need to completely redo this offense and reinvent himself? That's been kind of the message that's been going around with a lot of Niner fans is, what do we need to do that's different that didn't work this year? And my answer is maybe not too many things. I think first and foremost, we just need to get back to basics and executing. I think the plays that we run are successful plays if executed, if guys are not, committing penalties, if they're not holding and taking back, negating big plays. If, one guy's missing a key block, that was the biggest issue this year. That's why we were missing. That's where we're not winning those games towards the end of, key moments. And I think if we just get back to that and executing, especially in the fourth quarter, we can get back to the playoffs and to get another Super Bowl run.
Interesting stat that they released. I don't know if you caught this, but in 23 years, I think it was 23 years, the Niners have either gone to the championship game or not gone to the playoffs at all. So we go to the playoffs,
it's all or nothing.
It's a championship game. We don't just go to the playoffs and lose. We just either go to the playoffs and go to the championship game, or we don't go at all. It's a crazy stat.
Yeah. So that tells you the key is just to get into the playoffs, and once we're in there, we're pretty good. At going on a run, winning one or two games to get to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, and just wasn't meant to be this season. We did have injuries, but so did other teams. The Lions had actually more injuries than we did, and it's going to be our next opponent.
With that, it's a brutal season, a brutal sport, in a season where you're going to have that. Like last year, we showed so much depth that it didn't matter. Right? I think this team is not quite as good as last year's team. And there's some real key elements to that. I know that you talked about it. We have a lot of conversations outside of this podcast. And now Brock Purdy, I thought he had a pretty good game as far as considering all the injuries. And he went for 313 yards and 2 touchdowns. That one interception, but he's making a case that I think we still need to think about giving him the money he deserves. What do you think about Brock Purdy? And it's a tougher season for him considering all the injuries, obviously. So what do you think do you make a case for himself to get that big contract that he deserves, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're fully committed to Brock. He's done enough in his young career to show he's the quarterback of the future. I mean, let's not have recency bias. Just because we didn't make the playoffs this year, should we all of a sudden start thinking, oh man, do we need to draft a quarterback of the future and invest, first or second round pick in a quarterback? No, I mean, we should draft quarterbacks every year. I think that was the philosophy of Bill Walsh, whether it be in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Just get guys that can be good backups, and if needed in a pinch, to start a couple games if there was an injury with Brock next season. I do want some good depth at that position. We saw what not having a good backup quarterback did to our team a couple years ago, and you do need to have depth at every single position, and quarterback is no exception.
Yeah,
but as far as Brock is concerned, I do think he needs to clean things up. I think he did have some missteps this year, and it could have been his lack of weapons. He didn't have Ayuk all year. Deebo seemed like he regressed. Kittle actually was much better than I thought he was going to be going into the season. I mean, he's getting older, and you kind of think, all right, is this the year he kind of starts to slow down? Does he get hurt a little bit more often? I felt like he had the probably the best season since year 2, year 3.
Yeah,
he was the leading receiver and broke some TD some tight end records that season. I thought he was a breath of fresh air on a season that was, for the most part, pretty depressing. So, can he do that again? Does Ayuk come back healthy and pick up from where he left off a year ago? Does McCaffrey come back? That was the biggest weapon missing from our arsenal, was Brock not having his go-to checkoff guy in McCaffrey, someone that can, when no one's open, it seems like McCaffrey's always there to get 5 to 10 yards on any play and definitely break off some really big chunk plays throughout the game. So does McCaffrey come back similar to Kittle and have the type of season that we know that he can have, an MVP type season? I mean, this guy was on the cover of Madden. He's in every commercial during the NFL, and yet he's on our bench and he's played 2 games. We need him on the field. We need him active. We need him to create the kind of the kind of burst that we've seen in the past. And I think Kyle's play calling was off just because there was not that full arsenal that he's had in the past. Don't want to make excuses for him, but I just felt like there was never a stretch of games where he just was comfortable calling plays and knowing that we can execute and pull them off, and not get those just drive killing penalties, and guys not even able to even line up properly off the line of scrimmage to get those plays off. Seemed like it just happened way too often. And Kyle is the CEO of the team. He needs to have coaches working under him, coaching those players up, so those stupid, silly penalties just don't happen. Yeah,
it can't happen. When you shoot yourself in the foot and then you try to get a field goal and then you miss the field goal with a guy that you drafted, it's been a really just that kind of year where nothing's happening right for the Niners. Now, when it comes to, like we were talking about, when you have to abandon the run altogether because you don't have a running back, it becomes a tougher gig, not just for Shanahan, but for Brock Purdy himself in there. Now, Deebo looked pretty good finally, even running out of the backfield. And I thought that he finally showed what the Deebo we wanted to see. It's just, where was he all season? When he would go out there and break tackles and nobody could tackle him, he finally looked that way in this game against Miami. And then his numbers show it too. That one touchdown was just a vintage Deebo, which is good to see. I don't know if that gives him, are we going to re-sign him? Because I think isn't his contract up, Lucas?
No, I don't think he's.
Okay.
I don't think he's a free agent, but what they could do is renegotiate his contract. I know next year isn't fully guaranteed, so if we want to keep Deebo, I don't think we can keep him at the price that he's going to be set to make. So there's probably going to be a little, tinkering of some contracts this offseason. We've done it in the past, and it's really helped free up cap space so that we can go out and get free agents. We can pay our rookies after they get drafted. Yeah, there's going to be some changes. I think Dre Greenlaw maybe getting a contract as well. And who else is out there? I don't think Charvarius Ward is going to be back with this team. I think there's just the other 2 cornerbacks, Lenore and Green's been strong. Green are just showing too much potential. They make a lot less, and we're just not going to be able to afford Charvarius Ward. He's a good cornerback, and he will make money, but it just won't be with us.
Yeah. So now we've got a really tough game on Monday night on the big stage. But first, let's get down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Lucas, we still need to evaluate the trenches, even though it was a tough game that we probably should have won. How'd they do in this game against Miami?
Yeah, it's a tough one for the offensive line. No Trent still. I want to say that Brendel struggled. I really liked Purdy in this game. I mean, he was a bright spot on the offensive line all year.
Did Banks get hurt?
If I were to give, I think Banks did get hurt. Yeah, I didn't. It just seemed like anytime we tried to get something going, there was always a penalty, a false start, a holding, a illegal man downfield, just little things like that just kill drives. And allow for teams to just kind of know that, hey, these guys aren't really adept at throwing the ball downfield right now. We've done that in the past. Brock used to be somebody that got the ball downfield, but over the last, I don't know, 5 games, it just felt like we've been more of a dink and duck type team, trying to run the ball, trying to screen a little bit more, which, I've been calling for all season. I do like the screen game, but it needs to play off a intermediate to deep passing game as well. So, guys were getting much better rushes on Brock, and he's been taking sacks. He's been a little more turnover prone, and I think the offensive line has to take some of that blame. So, other than Pooney, I felt like maybe McKivitz had a solid game. He's not like the best right tackle in the league, obviously, but I think he's been solid for us this year. Can we get better? Absolutely. I think we can upgrade the right tackle through the draft or free agency. I think center, first and foremost, needs to be the position that we look to upgrade. Brendel's a good backup. Like, he just, too many mistakes. I feel like he gets bull rushed very easily, doesn't have a good anchor, misses a lot of blocks. Yeah. And for somebody that needs to anchor your offensive line and be the so to speak, the brain of the offensive line, the head, he ain't it, man. Like, Iron Mike Arango said all year, and maybe even for the last 2 years, Brendel's not good. And, I kind of defended him in the past, but, I'll have to fall on that sword and just, finally eat my words and be like, we need to replace him. He needs to be the first guy that goes. And I think there's a lot of good offensive linemen in the draft that can be potentially really good centers. They're guards or centers in college that could easily be better right now.
It's going to be a huge point of interest in the draft. So give us an overall grade for the trenches against Miami, and let's move on to
D-. D-, yeah. I mean, even a lot of the yards that we're getting were on broken tackles like Deebo, and I think Patrick Taylor had some nice runs. He looked solid as a 5th or 6th string running back out there.
He just runs straight ahead. It's almost interesting that he
doesn't have a lot of moves on moves. So
he's not even that.
Kind of like Deebo though too. Deebo has a similar running style. If you think about it, Deebo doesn't really juke or spin. He just kind of breaks tackles with his strength and power. So D-.
That one really nice run from the backfield, and then I thought, oh man, can he do this? But of course,
where was this all year?
Due to a penalty. That's just
exactly.
Cool. All right, so we'll see what happens on Monday night against one of the best teams in the league, and then we'll get back down in the trenches next week. And just right now we're just evaluating to see how we can get better. Just like Lucas just said, we need to get better next year, and it's going to be better. I really believe that this is just a pretty torn up team that we need to just get to the finish line here. But now we look at a team that's probably one of the best in the league, who wants revenge on the Niners in the Detroit Lions from last season. So how do you think we fare against this on Monday night at home, which we've lost a few tough ones at home?
Yeah.
Which has been a really tough year. That's when you want to get those big wins at home, and we've lost like at least 3 at home. So
yeah, it doesn't look good. To quote the great, I think it was who was the catcher on the Yankees that had all the great one-liners? Yogi Berra. Yeah, to quote Yogi Berra, it might get late early. So the Niners don't come out ready to play. I think the Lions are going to jump all over them. It could be 30-something to 7 in the first half. I mean, I don't even want to win this game, honestly. Like, I really
want better draft picks, right?
Feel like we need a better draft pick. So it looks like a lot of guys aren't going to be playing for various reasons. Like Trent Williams probably could play if he needed to. He's out. It looks like Jair Brown is out. Did you hear anything about
officially out of it? It is like a good
Guerrero most likely not going to play this game.
I mean, see what these young guys can do in a team game that's going to be extremely challenging.
Yeah, no McCaffrey, Dre Greenlaw probably. So just we'll don't expect a lot. And I think they're even going to kind of be easy with how many snaps Bosa gets. Like he's not injured, but why put him out there and risk your best defensive player sustaining an injury that could cost you the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
So let's not really put our best foot forward. We're past that. We're not trying to ruin anything for the Lions. Like if they win or lose, it really doesn't matter what I think they pretty much locked the number one seed.
Yeah.
So let's just go out there and nobody get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. There's no keys to victory here.
It's preseason game. Pretend like it's preseason game number 4.
Keys
just
to
make
survival.
it out. Just make it healthy.
And one of the keys, I hope Purdy
say.
doesn't play this whole game. I mean, he wants to get the big contract and all, but we don't want him to get hurt either. No one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but give me your prediction for the score at the end of the game there tomorrow night.
Yeah, so my prediction is going to be 44-28. I do think we do score eventually in the second half, just get some garbage points, but I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think the Lions are right now a much better caliber football team than they were last year. We're a much worse caliber team than we were last year, and that looks like it's not going to be a close game or a fun game to even watch. So
yeah, it's too bad. St. John is it St. John?
St. Brown?
St. Brown, so good.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's so good. Oh my goodness.
He's really good. And their running backs, they're two-headed running back tandem of Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. Like they've been awesome all year. I mean, you could have one of them on your fantasy team and each one of them is scoring a lot of points for you every week. So they're a team to, I could definitely see being in the Super Bowl. In the NFC, I think maybe the Vikings, maybe the Eagles, maybe even the Rams. The Rams have been hot lately, and they look like they're steamrolling into the playoffs. They just won their 5th consecutive game, and their defense has really shown up over these last couple of weeks. I think after giving up that 40-point game to the Bills, they've been stout, and the defense is getting better and better. So, don't be surprised if the Rams and the Detroit Lions are in the NFC Championship game going at it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if Eric Saubert has a big game and has a couple of TDs to help us. I like to see it close at halftime, but like you just said, we need to get no injuries. If we can escape this game and we get destroyed and there's no injuries, then it's a win. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say it's gonna be 42-17 in a loss that we don't lose any players to, hopefully.
Wait, hold on, everybody. I think this is the first time Luke McLaughlin's ever picked against the 49ers in the 4 years that we've been doing this. Has it been 4 years?
I'm going to play 4 years, right? Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
Year 5.
5 years, yeah.
So
2020. Yeah, so all right. Yeah.
Things are getting real around here.
Things are getting real. Absolutely. All right, man. Well,
turnovers and we'll see.
Hope you had a great Christmas. I guess the next time we'll be doing this will be 2025.
That's right. Happy New Year, and to all
Happy New Year, man.
All the people that are following us. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Stick 49ers podcast. We'll have more exclusive coverage of the 49ers, and if you could like and subscribe, it'll really help us to get you that content next year and continue to do this. Year number 5. Thank you, Lucas, for being a part of this. It's been fun, and we'll continue, and hopefully we'll have a better season next year. But until then, we'll keep you in the loop, and we'll just discover ways to make the 49ers better.
Yeah, and all our YouTube watchers and liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing this podcast with all your closest Niner friends. So thank you very much, and to bigger and greater things in 2025.
Right on. All right, Lucas. Go Niners and Happy New Year.
Go Niners. Happy New Year.